Oké, goedendag dames en heren. Mijn naam is Zenner van commercetools en ik zal vandaag iets over de digitalisering van de CDG erzählen. Maar mijn Nederlands is niet zo goed, dus zal ik het in Engels doen. Okay, so when they asked me to go to Amsterdam and talk about the bicycle retail, I said, well, how cliche is that, right? I mean, you come to this place and you talk about bicycles, and I thought about these things, and the last thing that sort of made me think, well, you're in the right place was, yesterday when I came to Amsterdam on the plane, I got this cup and said, well, probably it's a good omen to be talking about bicycles here. Okay, but before I get into the CDG, let me just add a little, commercial section here. So commercetools is a commerce platform in the cloud. So basically that means you don't have to install anything. It just sits in the cloud. It scales automatically, which is sort of nice if you have like the Christmas season ahead of you and you need to be able to also deal with high traffic peaks. We have automatic updates and feature releases with no downtime. So basically, once you're on the platform, you can use all the features we're using, we're building for you, and we don't have any maintenance windows or anything. And you don't have to upgrade stuff. You don't have to download files and upgrade the service. It's basically all done for you. And we consider ourselves as an omnichannel platform. So basically, if you're a retailer, you can basically manage everything, all your channels through this one platform. So regardless if you have like stores or if you have a mobile app or web shops or your physical stores. I'm losing my microphone, I think. So, you can do this with the platform. Okay, this is all planned, right? This is all part of the show. Okay, so we offer like a business tooling. So basically people can log into the system and there's a little PIM, there's a PIM there that it's quite easy to use and allows retailers to work with the products. Well, maybe I should have practiced before, Practice everything apart from this. Okay, so and as a cloud solution, it has typically a low TCO because you don't have to buy any licenses, right? So this is what people like about this stuff. And during the first talk, a couple of you guys raised your hands when you asked if you're technical people. So you probably will know what an API is, obviously. And we heard about REST APIs. And also could mention that we are a headless system, but that was also something that popped up. So basically, we expose the functionality through an API, and people can build their front ends with all sorts of technologies. And last thing I'd like to highlight is we are on the Forrester Wave as a container. Woo, lots of work. We're very, very proud. So if you want to learn more about this, go to our website, download the report, and you see what we're up to. Okay, CDG. So basically, if you haven't heard about this, it's absolutely not a surprise. Most Germans wouldn't know the company either. It's basically a company that works in the background, but I'd say if you're in Germany or in Switzerland or Austria wanting to buy a bicycle, and you go to your traditional retailer in your city, he's most likely a ZDG merchant. ZDG is a cooperative founded like 50 years ago. They have like 600 million revenues in 2015, and about 1,000 related merchants. Just imagine that. I mean, that's like this company. We have all sort of bicycle merchants from all walks of life. Little ones, small ones, with little shops, small shops, and they all try to work together and drive the business forward. They basically have contracts with all major bicycle retailers, but also have their own brand strategy. So, for example, you may have heard of Bulls and Pegasus. So these are brands that they like to push out there. And that was also something that we had to take care of basically through doing the project. And these are just two shots from Bulls. Oh. I think this thing is just not working. Maybe my ear's wrong. Can I? Yeah, can anyone lend me his ear or her ear? Okay, sorry about that. I can also scream, you probably don't need this. Okay, so the important here is that they like to stress, the emotional aspect of having a mountain bike brand. So this is one part of the story. And the other part of the story is that they wanted to enable their 1,000 merchants to be effective on the internet, which they mostly aren't. Because this is something that we see a lot, you know, and this is the ZDG website. And if you're a pro, you probably see, well, this is probably not the latest design. And I think it's safe to say that ZDG certainly doesn't belong to the digital avant-garde, if you like to say so. So and that's sort of the I'd say main impediment for this project to be able to see, well, there's this company, there's this group of people who don't know anything about the internet, let alone about selling stuff via the internet, and all of a sudden they should take part in the global market space. So this is what your usual ZDG store would look like. You know, you get larger ones, smaller ones, and basically people would go there if they want a new bicycle or get the bikes repaired. You know, whatever there is. So, and this is sort of the multilingual bit of this presentation. So if I search for the German term, Fahrrad online kaufen, that's it. So you get this presentation, right? So this is Google Trends from the last 5 years, and you can see, obviously, you see the peaks at summer, but you can also see that you have a tendency that it sort of rises. People expect to find their stuff online. People want to buy bicycles online. And if you are a very traditional retailer, that's a problem. You're losing business to some of these guys. So for ZDG, it was also very important to say, well, look, we need to sort of take place online. We can't just let all those new guys, because these are all like very young companies who saw the market opportunity and just started to sell the bikes online. So these are the challenges. Jesus Christ. Could I just go like this? I can do this. Ah, very nice. Feels a bit like Frank Sinatra, right? Okay, so what's it? We have like 1,000 retailers. So if you go to the ZDG store, you see, you know, this side, and you can look up all these different retailers. So we had to come up with something that allowed retailers to build their own sites very, very easy. So no coding, no HTML, no bullshit. Basically just a few clicks and then you're online. That's what we wanted to do, or that's what we had to do. Okay, so we have a fairly complex catalog. So we have a central catalog, I'll talk about this later, and some decentralized catalogs. And we had to make sure that retailers could pull information out of the central catalog, but also add their own data, their own prices, their own images. So that's something we had to take care of. It had to be obviously prepared for the mobile web, right? This is something that's probably a no-brainer these days. Handle different content assets. This is where Magnolia comes into play. Support own brands like Pegasus and Bulls. And lay foundation for new business models. For example, e-bikes and e-bike leasing, which this is e-bikes, right? So this is like a warm brain for the retailers, for bicycle retailers. You know, that they have people like this being able to climb the hills, right? Let me just. So you can just let this sit in, right? And see if you belong to the left or the right side. Okay, so obviously we had to do lots of customization. So the project approach was like this. You know, get out quickly and learn and iterate fast. This is something, because we as a software vendor, and also as some of the people who actually did this integration, we thought, we don't know what it's going to be like to work with these people. I mean, no harm intended, right? I'm just saying, you know, it was totally clear that that this wouldn't be a sort of usual run-of-the-mill project. We had to do 3 phases. So the first would be, we call this business card. So it's basically just a very simple website that just has nothing more than the company name, opening times, maybe 1 or 2 images, and that's it really. The second would be window display. So that would be business cards plus products. So retailers could get a window display and basically say, well, this is our shop, and look at this, these are 1 or 2 products. And the third phase would be then fully functional web shops like we know them now. So people would go to their retailer and just order the stuff there online. Yeah, as I said before, we have this integration now with Magnolia, so that was really important from the beginning to be able to also integrate commerce and content elements. to support this whole emotional aspect and feel they wanted to have. Yeah, and to focus on onboarding. I mean, we're not talking about like a purely technical challenge here. It's also about telling these people, educating them, basically inviting people and say, well, look, this is how you open a browser. Oh, that was mean, but this is how you do things. So this is how you press the buttons, and this is how you organize your stuff. So the merchant shop. So, yeah, sure.
Now you're talking about the merchants, right? Not the end users building.
Yeah, the merchants. Yeah. So they're creating their own stores, right? And they maintain them as well, right? Wow. So this is what the very simple version will look like. It's a Fahrrad-Offermann, 35 years of experience in Fahrrad retail, and on the right-hand side, that would be the second step would be being able to showcase some products. Right? The third scenario hasn't happened yet. They still have to work things out because it's a huge decision that all of a sudden to have people order stuff online, which is unheard of. So yeah, that's something that they still have to do. And for the brand shops, we started with Bulls, that has been shown before, and Pegasus also went live just a few months ago. So very content-driven pages. So, for example, covering Team Bulls, which is a mountain bike team, and this is sort of a magazine talking about all the races and the results, and what you have in these teams basically. And yeah, this is, as I said, something that is present and online for the brand stores, but not for the merchant stores. So you can actually order a Bulls bike online, but then it would be the order would be sent to the retailer closest to you, and he would make sure that the bike comes to you, right? So this is decentralized. This is nothing that ZDG can influence. Okay, so everybody got going, lots of bits and pieces. I mean, you can imagine all these ERP systems, CMS, our platform, all mingled together. And let's talk a little bit about the technical approach. Don't want to bore you with any more details. I mean, if you want to know the boring details, just come to me afterwards or to my colleague Steven, and we get you all the boring details of this. So basically, we had so hang on, do I have a? Ah, beautiful. Okay, so commercetools here as a foundation. Magnolia here, responsible for actually rendering the whole thing and rendering it out to the outside world, to the front end. Magnolia, we have used only one Magnolia cluster, so basically it's just installation of Magnolia, and then people can basically, if ever a merchant likes to start a new project, he just starts a project in Magnolia. And as I said before, this is the tricky bit, to make sure that the product catalog and the products are in order. And this is where it really gets interesting. All right, so let's dive a bit deeper. So this is how this is all laid out. I mean, I don't know whether you guys have something similar in mind or plan something similar, but this is, just the way we thought it would be useful. So there's a master catalog, containing all the products that they actually are. It's a huge catalog of, I don't know, but more than 100,000 products, everything, like from bicycle to tires to helmets to clothing. And there's also pricing information. So they start out with one price that's sort of the price for the group, and then it gets distributed to all those merchants. And think about this. I mean, this is sort of, we're talking about like roughly 1,000 here. So we have like 1,000 projects which lie underneath this master project and which are synchronized. And here, each merchant has the ability to upload their own data, as I said before, so they can, take products from the master catalog, but are also able to have their own products, their own prices, their own product information. Then this gets sent to Magnolia in this case, right? So this is authored and rendered to the audience. Yes, I mean, so the question was, so how does this work? If you say, you're talking about inventory, if stock label changes like from here to here or the other way around.
So I'm customer of the merchant too.
Yeah.
I want a red bicycle.
Yeah.
And the question is it available in the Zmaster? And can I get to that availability real time?
Well, you can, and but the thing is, well, as a client, as a consumer, you wouldn't know about the Z Master. Basically, these clients here they would come to their own local retailer and see his availability, and this is something he has control of because he says, well, I've got only one or two bicycles on stock, so this always overrides what's in the master. This is something that's always local. This is sort of and this reports back to the master. But for the process, it's important to have the inventory labels here. As I said, at the moment you can't buy online. That's the thing, because these are the questions that need to be solved. And I can assure you, a lot of discussions are going on because of this. It's all. I guess it's all, old business. It's all egos and things. So I never said that. Please don't quote me. Any other questions or? Yep.
How do merchants build their website? Do they use Magnolia author environment to build a website, or did you build a kind of site builder with which they build their website?
Yeah. It's a site builder. So basically, I think if you're a merchant and basically you join the club, you just pay a certain fee, and then you ask the city team, please set up a site for me, and they do this, and you get offered a very, very, very basic interface to be able to do this. Yeah. But the setup is done centrally via the City online team. Okay, so what's important here? Basically, it's a summary of what I've said before. Just making sure that the data travel through those different catalogs, and make sure that things like stock and prices are always up to date and correct. And for the brand shop, it looks a bit different. So we again have the Zgate master, and then those are translated into the brand shops, and then go through Magnolia. To be quite honest, I'm not exactly sure why we are going through the brand store in this case. I think it has to do with the fact that obviously you want to filter, products according to brand, right? So that here there are only items from Bulls or Pegasus. Okay, so that gets me to the results. I mean, you could imagine that, as I said, it's quite a conservative company, and you need to evangelize this constantly. People are used to selling bicycles for, I don't know, in second or third generation, taking over the bicycle business from their dads and mothers. And now they need to be convinced that probably it's a good idea to be online and not let others eat their lunches, right? So there are about I think now about 200 merchants already live on the platform. And they get much more visibility. So this is like an SEO tracking tool, and you see that if people search for certain items, the ZDG merchants, they come up. And they put it differently. I mean, they appear on the net. I wouldn't say that they are like the SEO kings, and they're still much more professional websites out there, obviously. But now they have the chance to play in the game, and access their audience. It's all responsive, obviously. And the onboarding is quite simple. As I said, basically it's just calling the ZDG digital team, please, can I have a store, please? And then they do it for you. And you get a little introduction how to use it. And then they are actually ready to go. And the most important bit, and this is sort of also my conclusions. I don't know about you, but if usually people, potential customers, come to you and say, if you're an agency, or to us as a software provider, and asking us about this level of complexity, at the same time having almost no clue whatsoever, you cannot just create this big, massive black box of a project. You need to iterate, and it's absolutely certain that you can't get it right at the first time. So basically, this is, I guess, one of the most important approaches, or the most important learnings is, you need to have learnings, and you need to constantly build something, small functions, roll them out, see how the merchants react, see how the customers react, and then go from there. With that, I'd like to end. Bedankt voor je aandacht, and thank you well, and thank you.